Alright, so we are talking about the sales comparison approach. Remember, there are three. The sales comparison approach will be your primary objective as residential brokers, in which case you will need MLS access to do so. It does have the best and most accurate information, including concessions, sometimes reasoning for sale. Why is that reason for sale important?
Because they're a bunch of foreclosures or quick family flips or something, they might not best reflect what's going on in the market.
Yeah, do you think somebody who's in a divorce situation might sell their house for less to be done quicker? Is that necessarily indicative of the value? Maybe not. So that may not be a good comparable. Again, some of them are going to be better than others, and we'll give weight to the best ones and less so to the less appropriate ones. So as with anything, there are some good comps and there are some bad comps. So good comp, bad comp. This is good comp, bad comp. It's a joke. It's a joke. I have a 9-year-old. Deal with it. All right. So sold recently. Typically no more than 12 months. This is kind of our window. Does not mean I have not looked further than 12 months before, just especially to see what's going on in the history. So I will look back to see, but usually we want to be within 12 months. We want a property that we have to make the least amount of adjustments to. That means it's very similar, or as similar to our subject as we can. And also in the same area, being that that is important. A house in Winston-Salem downtown is probably not going to be comparable to a house that might be in Walltown, or South Side, or way up on the north side in Rural Hall, right? Those are different areas. They're going to appraise differently. So we want to try to find something that's like ours. So here's an example of how we never ever adjust the what?
Subject.
Subject property. So if our subject has this nice, but not quite ocean-side view, right? It's not bad. We can see the ocean. So let's look at our comparables. Comp 1. What do you think? Is this view better or worse than our subject?
Oh, I'd go for it.
It is a little better, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
nice.
nice. So do you think it would be superior or inferior?
Superior.
So it is superior. Now here's the rule. When the comp is superior, we need to subtract, right? Superior, subtract from its value. Our goal is to make this comparable bring the same or be as much like our subject as possible. If our subject has this view, then we need to bring our comp down a notch to be more like our subject. So we will subtract from the superior comp. Now the amount is yet to be determined, but we need to make an adjustment, right? Let's check out this guy. Like, wait a minute. Is that a beach out there? I can't tell. I can't tell. So do you think this view would be inferior or superior to our comp?
Inferior.
Inferior. Our comp, you could at least, or our subject, you could at least see the ocean. You cannot see it here. So we are clearly inferior, so we're going to need to give some value to our subject. We're going to need to increase the comp. Sorry, I keep saying subject. Increase the comp, right? So we're going to have to increase the value of this comp to make it like our subject. That make sense so far? Okay. So what about this one? In our subject, we have a garage. In our comparable, we do not. If we do not adjust the subject ever, what kind of adjustments would we make to our comparable?
We have to increase it.
We would increase it because it's inferior. This is an inferior home to our subject, so we need to add value to it to compensate for the price of the garage to make it like our subject. Our goal here is to make the comps like the subject. Make sense? So this one is inferior, we would increase it. In this capacity, here's our subject. No water access at all. And then our comparable has waterfront. So is the comparable inferior or superior?
Superior.
It is better, it is superior, so we need to subtract from it. So if it's superior, we will subtract from the value because again, we never ever adjust the subject. So we've got to subtract from our comp. Same case in this, I have to explain this one. So this one, we have a fireplace. This is actually a picture of a TV.
I know, it took me a while to
It's not the best
see that.
picture, but so this is
Funny.
this one. Our subject has a fireplace, Our comparable does not. So we will adjust our subject, right?
No,
No.
Oh, right, you caught that. We never, ever adjust the subject. We do adjust the comparable. And in this case, is it inferior or superior?
inferior.
It does not have a fireplace, and we do, which means it's inferior compared to our subject, and we would need to increase its value to make it like our subject.
Unless it's like an 80-inch TV, maybe.
Unless it's like an 80-inch TV, then maybe. Maybe.
Personal property.
Hey,
Give me that,
you
give me
can't
that
make
70,
s'mores
70.
with
Yeah.
a TV.
Like, when you taking in fireplaces, like if they work or don't work, does that matter, or just because you have a fireplace?
So his question was, does the fireplace, does it work or not, is important. It actually is somewhat important. In this class, it's not important. In this class, it either is a fireplace or it is not.
Gotcha.
When we go in the real world though, it does make more sense. It's like, is it just for decorative? Is it gas? Is it for heat? Is it functional? Is it wood? So there's a lot of variables in the real world.
Well, doesn't that get into like the whole heated, not heated, like what you can count in square footage?
It can, yeah, and by the way, fireplace does not constitute a permanent heat source because someone has to keep it on, so if it has to run without someone there.
Thermostatically controlled.
Yeah, thermostat controlled, so, it could impact that as well. So again, the goal is apples to apples. The value of a fireplace, river, or garage is determined by the sale of comparable properties. So we are actually going to look at this because some homes may actually have that garage and some homes may not. So we can actually compare two comparables. What? Yes. Comp 1 to comp 2. And say they're the exact same house. One had a garage and one didn't. Well, if they both sold, and they both sold for the difference in price, the difference in price must be the price of the garage. So then we have the price of the garage.
It never works out.
It never works out that way in real life. But in this class, it's going to work. Perfect. Perfect, I guarantee it. So, other thing to account for, which you alluded to earlier, was that appreciation. Because, based on the age of when the property sold, it may have gone up in value since we last sold. So, in this example, whoops, the house sold at $480,000, right? And it appreciates at 6% per year, and it sold 9 months ago. Do you think you could figure out what it would sell for today?
4%.
Maybe.
What would I do with this?
0.75.
Prorate.
Prorate! Yeah! I told you it'd be prorated masters, right? Proration masters before the end of the class. So, tell me what you think. You guys help me.
It's gone up 21.6.
Excuse me. So it sold for $480,000 9 months ago. Right? And we have a 6% per year appreciation. Okay? So what can I do with this information?
Divide 6 by 12,
Divide 6 by 12. Why would I do that?
monthly, to develop your monthly percentage increase.
I just did an annual and then took 75% of it. Since 9 out of 12 months, it's only 75% of a year.
Yeah, actually, I think both of you would get the same number.
Okay.
Because all you're doing is on an annual, you're doing it on a monthly basis. Let's stick with the monthly, because I think that's the way I did it. I'm sorry, the annual. What did I do? Yeah, by the annual. So I did what you did.
Oh, I see what you're saying, take what the increase would have been annually, so multiply it by the 6%, and then divide that number by 12, or the
Right.
difference,
Yeah,
the
because
amount
to
of
see if
increase
it's the
divided by
same
12,
number.
yeah.
It should be.
Yeah.
I'll be curious. I haven't done it
The
that way.
annual's 28.8.
So it increases. So if I did 480 times 6%, it increased by 2880.
28,800.
28,800, right?
Yeah.
28. Oh yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, 28,800.
28,800? Golly, well, it is a $490,000 house. So our house that sold 9 months ago,
Yeah.
while it sold for 489 months ago, it has appreciated at 4% over the last 9 months. That means it's made 28,800 over 12, right?
6%, right?
So
Yeah,
that's
so
over
you have
12
to,
months.
yeah, that's.
So then we
that's
would
what
divide it, or.
Yeah, but if it does 6% per year, don't you do 6% 1 year and then take that amount and do 6%?
But we haven't gone more than a year because we're only talking 9 months.
Yes, we're only doing 9 months. If you'd have gone multiple years, you could have.
Is that what you would have to do?
I think so. We'll do some more.
Okay,
appreciation.
sorry, I just.
Very good.
Yeah, so
But
if that was
this
the
is per
appreciation over
year.
the full year,
Right, but we don't need the full year.
In 9 months, which is.
So then you could
Divide
divide this by 12,
Yeah.
2,400
2,400
yeah,
Mhm.
a month.
per month.
Times 9 for 9 months.
appreciation times 9 months
It's 21,600.
is 21,600.
Yeah.
And
Don't
of
you
course
got
it does, yeah, of course.
That's what I thought. In my head, that made
That's
sense.
how
I
math
never-
works.
Oh, I never thought to do it that way, but that's the great thing about math. You can come about it different ways.
Yeah.
But I never would have occurred to me to have done it that way. So this is our actual appreciation. But we're not done yet. What do I do with this 21,600?
You gotta add it to the 480.
I gotta add it to the 480,000.
Yeah.
What is that?
5016.
So this would be our adjusted value. Adjusted,
Or proposed sales price.
yeah, your proposed sales price. So, and what I did here, this was a comp, right? This is comp 1,
Oh, that's a comp, okay.
Yeah.
right?
So that's why,
all
that's
the
why you can
factors
call
were-
it adjusted value.
Correct, sorry. So what we did is we found a house that sold 480, at 480 9 months ago. Sorry, I'll get my words out shortly. It sold at 480,000 9 months ago. If I sold that house today, with the appreciation we're experiencing in the marketplace, 6% is pretty high, by the way, and these are big numbers. It would sell today for 501,600. So if I was going to list it today, probably around that 500,000 would be appropriate. And that's assuming nothing but appreciation. Right?
And it's only one comp.
And it's only one comp. We're going to look at a lot of different ones. But this is a value, like the fireplace, like the garage, that we have to take into account. And ultimately, the summation of this process is appreciation, improvements, longevity, different approaches, reconciliation, and you look at it from a lot of different angles to figure out where should we price your property and how. So that's how we accomplish appreciation calculations. Questions on that? Everybody go with appreciation? Again, it's just like proration, right? You're prorating appreciation.
It will always give you the percent in the problem though.
Yeah, usually. All right, so what if the subject is superior? What kind of adjustments should I be making? If the subject is superior, this is gonna blow your lid.
You gotta downgrade it, you subtract from
You
the.
don't do anything with the subject.
The subject we do not touch, we don't
The
touch,
comp,
right?
You've gotta
the
add
comp
some
you
comps.
subtract.
Here's what's gonna blow your mind.
You gotta
If the subject is superior, what does that make the comp?
Inferior.
Inferior. So what do I need to do to the comp?
Increase it.
Increase it. See how that works? It's gonna blow your mind. Always think about the comp in relation to the subject. So what about, or how do you add value in a stagnant market? So what do we do with what's a stagnant market mean? What does that mean?
It's not-
Slow.
It's maybe a little sluggish, maybe it's just kind of steady, not really doing much. So if we looked at a house that sold for 480,000 last week in a stagnant market, and it's very similar to our subject, what do you think our subject would be around?
Same.
Around 480,000, it'd be similar, right? And that appreciation problem we just did, that's not a stagnant market, that's a going up, that's an appreciating market. So we have to account for that. What if a problem states the differences as either positive or negative? Well, we'll look at that, but just they may actually put that the comp has positive features of this. What does that make the comp? It has positive features. Superior, so you would need to subtract from it. So they may just use general terms. Instead of saying it has a garage versus it doesn't, it's got positive improvements above the subject, or inferior. Can a provisional broker be compensated for a BPO or CMA?
No.
No. Can a full broker?
Yes.
Yes. What is the best way for a seller to determine the value of a property?
Get an appraisal.
Zillow.
You said the
What
value,
did
you
he
said
say?
only appraisal can determine the value, right?
That's exactly right. So, and the value of a property, seller, buyer, whomever, what's the best way to get value? Appraiser.
Yeah.
Appraisal, absolutely. Get a licensed appraisal. Does the listing price have to be the same as the probable sales price?
No, but it should be close.
No, your probable sales price is going to be, hey, if I was going to list it, this is about where I would put you. And again, looking at that market, we might go a little above it, we might go a little below it, depending on how we're anticipating that market changing as we go forward. All right, let's practice one. This is the moment you've all been waiting for all day. So this is a comparable problem. Now, what I have found, and I will show you real quickly, one of the easiest things that I love to do in every one of these problems is to draw it. And I don't say draw the house, because that'd be weird. But to always draw it in graph format. Subject, comp 1, maybe comp 2 or comp 3 if given. Not every problem will fit this format perfectly, but this is just the easiest illustration I have found to keep the data separate. I'm going to give you a second to work on that, see how you do. Get as far as you can, get as much as you can, and then we'll go over.
Can you shut the door?
I could.
Will you shut the door?
Yes, I will. There you go. I need to get that thing off of there, I don't know why they're still there. Look like I have a problem, I'm like double fisting it everywhere I go. Look at me. One of the first steps is always going to be identifying your subject. What do you got? And then you can go forth and figure out how does it compare to your comparables.
Thank you.
I think your hardest part of this will likely be accounting for appreciation.
Do you do your appreciation before or after that you do your comparisons?
Good question. So, are you talking about with the garbage for the comp?
Yeah.
So I would do what the comp would be, or I'm sorry, the base price, what it sold for,
What it sold for,
and then add to it.
you would add all the stuff,
Yeah, because you're gonna do the appreciation to,
and
I ain't saying I'm
and
right.
then
That's
do
what I
the
got.
appreciation
yeah, because
afterwards.
what it sold for was the 198, that's what it sold for. Add the appreciation, and then go from there.
Okay. Wait a minute, I didn't get it.
So, you did it, just do your appreciation, and then add the end.
Okay,
You said these did not show up very well. in the
No. No, so much so that I put a pack aside at in my office to bring and I forgot.
What color shows up at
Dark,
dark?
yes, blue, black, whatever orange something you were using. It was, and I think part of it is because you were writing on top of writing, on top of erasing, on top of writing, because you kept just crossing out the little sections and going back and changing the
Oh, right,
numbers.
yeah, we were doing
That became really hard to follow. I mean, I knew what you were doing, it didn't change my understanding of
sense.
it, because I did them on my own anyway, but.
That was mine. That doesn't work much better.
I think it's the orange one that worked the best, isn't it?
I don't know, did it?
Oh,
I mean, I don't think it worked fine.
You got a whole thing of them?
We're running low, although it's not safe because we keep the.
It's kinda like the school, we had extra packs that we donated to the elementary
Those are
school, I
perfect.
thought, maybe I'll bring some and
Those
donate
highlighters?
donate to Crew Realty, the real estate crew group.
Yeah, it's a little better. Alright, so hopefully at this point in time, you have done some of it. So in this capacity, we have a subject, and our subject is, well, let's look at first comp one, sold for 198,000, right? And, blah, 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 blah. What's our subject? Let's talk about that.
Well, we don't know anything other than it does not have a fireplace, but it does have a garage, so I just wrote FP and garage underneath the subject and
There
said
you go.
yes or no,
So the house being appraised, that's the subject, so no fireplace.
right? FP, no, garage.
It does have a
yes.
garage, so garage.
And that's about all you know,
That's about all we know, right? And so the
About the
comp
subject.
one sold for 198.
but appreciated 4%.
We have a 4% appreciation to account for. We have a, what is 12,000 garage?
The garage is 12 and the fireplace is 3.
And fireplace is 3. Alright, so I know in this case, this whole graph format is not necessarily a requirement, but I just like it because
You
it
don't
makes
need
my life
comps
easier.
2 and 3.
Yeah, we don't need 2 and 3 in this case, so we can just make it 4. Alright, so in this capacity, we understand that a garage, this is great by the way, because they tell you, you don't even have to figure it out, garage 12 grand, that's easy, easy peasy. So a garage is 12,000, our comp does, or I'm sorry, our subject does have a garage, our
And the comp
comparable
is not.
does not, right? So if it does not, what do we need to do to it? Subtract 12,000. The subject does not have a fireplace, our comparable does or does not?
Add 3.
It does or does not? It does. So if the,
Other way around, you
Yeah.
add 12,000, it's
Yeah,
inferior, you need
it's-
to add
Yeah,
12,000.
you gotta add.
yeah, I was gonna say, let's do this, let's take those away. So we know 3,000 and 12,000 either way,
Yes,
right?
okay, fair enough.
So if the comparable in regards to the fireplace, does it have a fireplace or no?
The subject does not, the
The subject does
comparable
not.
does.
The
So to make
comparable
it
does.
like the subject, you need to subtract.
And we know we can't touch this side of the line.
Yeah.
So if we have one here, it is inferior or superior?
Superior.
It is superior, so what do we need to do with that $3,000?
Subtract.
Subtract it. So now if we take away the fireplace from our subject, it should be like, I'm sorry, from our comp, it should be like our subject. Now let's talk about the garage. The garage is $12,000, that's fantastic, they gave you that. Now our subject has a garage, does our comparable have one?
It does not.
So if our comparable does not have a garage, is it inferior or superior to the subject?
Inferior.
Inferior, so inferior we
Increase.
increase, we add. But before we get there, let's talk about appreciation. Do you have a question before we get there?
I was gonna ask, like, could you just subtract the 3 from the 12 and end up with 9 and
Sure.
could you do that?
Yeah,
Net
But
adjustment.
you're,
Sure.
yeah,
just don't
you-
want to
And then
confuse
adjust-
you.
What happens is,
dangerous.
yeah, you can do some quick adjustments in your head like that, and it'll go much, it'll make sense. What happens over time though, when we get 2 and 3,
Okay.
is it'll start messing you up.
Gotcha.
But however you get there, if it gets you
Yeah,
there, it gets you there.
You're not just gonna have 2 things, you're gonna have 15 things. This one's
Yeah.
got 2.5 baths, this has 3. This-
It's usually a whole myriad
Yeah, oh, yeah.
list in real life. Now in our problems, we will never have more than 2 or 3. Alright, so 198 is what it sold for. Did it sell with these adjustments?
No,
So let's take the 198 that it sold for as
Sure.
it was and account for that appreciation first. So say if this exact home sold today, what would it have sold for? And in order to do that, we have to account for the 4% appreciation. Right? So how can we do this?
4% times 198.
Yes.
198 times 4% is what?
79.20.
79.20, and that is the appreciation per year.
Right.
So we need to probably figure out per month, so to do that, we can divide by what?
12.
Alright, what does that give us?
660.
660.
660?
Yeah.
So we're increasing at $660 a month. So that is per month. And now how many months do we need to account for?
9.
Is it 9?
Yes.
Yes.
Times 9. How many times 9 months? And what is that?
59.40.
59.40. Now, the 59.40 is the appreciation.
Yep.
So if I were to put 5940 here, would it be an add or subtract?
Plus.
It'd be
Plus.
add, because this house would sell for 5940 more if it sold today. So now, if I do the math, 198 minus 3 plus 12 plus 59, what do I get?
212, 940.
212, 940. So that would be, if our comp was made like our subject, what it would sell for. So then we can deduce that if this was like our subject and sold for this, our subject should sell relatively close to this, right? Now we are going to, in a good comparable, CMA, appraisal, whatever, have more comps because we want to have as much data as possible. Again, having to make the least amount of adjustments is a good comp, right? We want the one that's most like our house, and we're not having to make, because what happens in real life is a garage really worth 12,000? What if it was a 2-car garage? What if it was an extra deep garage? What if it was a 1-car garage that was oversized, right? So in real life, the numbers get a little hairy.
Got it in last week.
Yeah, what about in-laws? So you have to, the good news is in class, they give you these values. In real life, we have to determine these values. So as you make these adjustments, there's a better margin for error. So the least amount of adjustments that you have to make to a subject or a comparable makes it a better comp. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm awful at that.
You said it, so now it's gonna kill you all day.
I know, it's gonna kill me all day. Adjust the subject, adjust the subject. No, I'm just kidding, don't say that. Never adjust the subject, never adjust the subject. Questions on that one? Yeah, they okay here? I'm gonna get this.
So do we adjust the subject?
Yeah, you can adjust the subject in this class and the next time.
So just a quick question for the, like, when we start doing this. If you do have to go and find the price of, say, a garage, are you looking at what is a replacement cost? Is that what you look at?
So we haven't got to the cost approach. So when we get to, this is the sales comparison approach.
Compare comparables.
Yeah, what we're going to is the cost approach, and that is a different conversation.
But you would have to know, I mean, they're giving us the cost of a garage here, and that's included in
No, they
this
didn't give you the
approach.
cost, they said it contributed 12,000 to the value.
Yeah, so don't confuse what it actually costs to build it with the amount of value that they're giving to
But I
it.
think your question was, how do we get the 12,000 in the real world?
Yeah,
Either a sales
that's-
comparable
That's a better,
approach.
yeah.
Yeah, and actually, this is kind of step one in the analysis of sales comparison. Let's go one more, because I think that may answer your question. And let's try this one that actually has 3 comparables. Because this will help you determine the values that aren't always just given. This one you may want to draw that nice chart I showed you. This is the class that I wish I had a bigger whiteboard.
Now, you say when it says it has negative features, that means it's inferior to our subject, correct?
If it is negative, it is inferior.
Yeah, negative relative to the subject is how I read it.
Okay.
Exactly.
You just double check it.
I know, I always have to think that it's almost like a double negative.
Triple negative, and it's, no, it's good. Actually, it is a double negative.
Oh, this one didn't start at that 5.
Oh. See what I did here?
So I don't love these because they are a little bit tricky.
See?
Uh-huh. Oh, well, I don't know the answer yet. I mean, I do know the answer, I just don't know what that is. So,
It's not Z.
comp A
Oh, three, oh, D.
has negative features of 4,000. So if comp A is negative
It's inferior.
relative to the subject,
You add 4,000.
that means it's inferior. So what do I do to it?
And
Add.
So 324.
What is 8,000? 8,000 is positive, so if it is positive and relative to the subject, that means it's
Superior.
superior,
Subtract.
so I would subtract.
322.
2,000 in this case is, what is it, positive or negative? Negative. So if it's negative in regards to the subject, it would be inferior,
Then you add.
so we would add.
Yeah.
So if we take these numbers, what do we get?
324.
324,
322,
322,
327.
327. So based on these three numbers here, what would your probable sales range be for your subject?
D, assuming no other weighting.
Yeah, assuming no other information, which we don't have, it would be somewhere between 324 and 327. So if I was coming to your house, I could show you, hey, we're gonna list somewhere between 324 and 327. That's what my research is showing.
Why would you not say 322 to 327?
322 to 327. Oh, good question. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You should.
Trying to get the most money out of the house.
So which one had the least amount of adjustments?
C.
C. So if this one is almost the exact same house and I only had to make a slight adjustment, that 327
So that's the weighting factor.
is probably going to give you the better weight. It's probably going to give you the better weight.
So I
That's
guess
kinda
I'm with
tricky.
him on this one. If our bottom comparable was 322 though, if this was on the test, which one would be the right answer?
Yeah, that's what I was.
Because I mean, if I come up with 322 and 327 as my range, I'm gonna put that down as.
And that's
opposed to 322.
from a range perspective. If I'm given a range, it should be the 322.
And the question was, what's the
Sorry.
indicated range?
The indicated range. Sorry.
Okay.
So
Range,
indicated
sorry.
range should be
Okay.
322.
Sorry. If I'm just given the range, it would be high to low.
But in real world, we
You
would
went
not
ahead
weight
and
it.
weighted one.
Correct. Now, if I wanted to say, hey, of the comparables I use, which one's going to be most indicative? That one's I'm probably going to give the most weight to.
Okay.
But yeah, if I'm coming in with a range, it would be high to low. Sorry, 22 to 27.
Why?
Yeah,
and
sorry.
in real life, you would do, you said 22 to.
So in my research would show 22 to 27 would be my range.
Right.
And then based on that, this one had the least amount of adjustments, so I would probably lean more towards that 325 mark. Or 327 mark, sorry, I made the adjustment.
Right.
Yeah, so the range is just a data fact, but then if you're guiding your client as to what to list it for, you can apply some of that
Yeah,
additional
because
judgment.
I don't get to list the house at 322 to 327, I have to pick a number, right? And so if I'm coaching them and saying, hey, based on my research, I had to make some pretty hefty adjustments to these guys, this one was most like your house, this is probably our best comparable, so this 327 is probably gonna give us a better range. So if I'm consulting with you, my range is 322 to 327, but I'm leaning towards that 327 being our mark. But also based on condition and other factors as I get into the property. Also depending on the market. If this is the seller's market, I might say, hey, let's go 329, knowing that I'll probably sell it at 327. If it's a buyer's market, let's go 325, maybe 322. So that's why I said there's not an exact science to this whole cost approach, but there are boundaries. And the boundaries are designed to keep us kind of consistent on the same page with everybody and within the ditches. But interestingly enough, one of the exercises I like to do in your post license class is by the time you're all brokers, right, because you're in post license and you have MLS access, I will pull a house out of a hat, 123 Main Street,
That's
and
pretty
say,
good.
hey, I just called you. Would you come list my house and tell me what it's worth? And I give you a computer and say, go. I don't give you any guidance. And everybody goes about it a different way. And surprisingly, they all come back with a similar price. Because some of them go, look at it this way and make this adjustment, this way make this adjustment, this count, that count, this count. But always very similar ranges, regardless how you approach it. Because again, there's no, this is how it has to be done every time. These are guidelines to help you get the most amount of money, least amount of time, and guide your clients. But there is no science to it. If there was a science to it, we'd put it in a calculator and we wouldn't need you. So it is a little bit of both. A little bit
But
of
the
both.
way that question was worded, it would be worded similarly on the test, and the
Yeah,
right
yeah.
answer would be D.
The answer to this question is D. Yes, that's correct.
Because to that for a full range, not
Yeah.
just.
Alright, so, let's look at this one. This is not, I'm sorry, it's formatting's all kinds of off. Alright, so here's our subject, here's comp 1, comp 2, comp 3. What would our subject be valued at? Let me help you write that.
It's a deck word.
Alright, so, subject, 300, 3 bag,
Did you say what the deck
deck, 2200,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
A is 290.
I did say
Bed,
Yeah, no, I see what, how
No
we're.
deck. 2300. 300.
It's actually better in your slide, your printed slide is not
Oh, is
as,
it?
it's not as jacked up as the screen.
Oh, good. 3-bedroom. I don't know why I didn't format it like that.
I mean, it's still a little bit off center wise, but it's better looking than the screen right now.
Let's see, then 305. 3-bedroom. No deck. And 24. Alright. Everybody see how this looks and works? Why? I love these. These are like those little puzzles you find in the newspaper, right? I'm trying to figure out what the subject would be for. Sorry.
It's okay.
Didn't give you a lot of information here, did we? At least not in the format of a paragraph. What it did give you, though, is enough information with your comparables to find out what kind of adjustments we need to make.
How much value do you give the deck and B?
There you go. That's a great question.
Would
How
it-
much value do we give a deck? Let's work on this one a little bit together. If I close that, can you see those last two?
Yeah.
Sorry. So let's look, first of all, we never, ever adjust what?
Subject.
I'm gonna put a box around there so I'm not tempted to write anything. So let's look at our comparables. How do they compare to each other?
B looks almost exactly like it.
B looks almost exactly like it, right? I just need to subtract 100 square feet and we're good. I'll just add 100 square feet to my subject and we're good.
No, you can't.
Yeah, that is the tempting thing to do. That is the wrong thing to do. Never adjust the subject. So let's look at these two. 3-bedroom, no deck, exact same square footage. So we're saying
Yeah, it's only
here,
$10,000
we're saying
different.
here, that we got $10,000 difference. What's the difference?
Deck,
Deck.
What's a deck worth?
$10,000.
There you go.
Must be a small deck.
So we know the deck is worth $10,000. Okay, so what about this guy and this guy? We got 3 bedrooms, no deck. Oop, we got a square footage difference. So this one's 305, that's 290. How much is the difference between these sales price? 15,000.
So 5,000 for the square footage?
So if 15,000 is the difference, how many square feet difference do we have? 150 feet equals 15,000 in value. Is that fair? So can I figure out a price per square
They
foot?
both had no deck, dummy.
Yeah, because they have no
Yeah,
deck.
sorry, I looked
Yep.
at the one and compared it with a deck.
Easy to do. The only difference is 150 square feet. So if 150 square feet is 15,000, we don't even need a price per square foot because it's just 150 off, right?
Right.
Yeah, because 150 square feet is 15,000. Our deck is 10,000. So can we now make some assumptions from this? Or make some adjustments? What else? Everybody's got 3 bedrooms, right? So we're all good there. I figured out the deck, I figured out the square foot. So now, we can make some adjustments. So to make A like our subject, it has 3 bedrooms, doesn't have a deck. So here we do not have a deck, here we do. So if we don't have a deck, we are inferior to our subject. So what do?
So you gotta add.
Add 10,000 for the deck. 2,300, 2,200, I guess we need to figure out price per square foot. So if 15,000 is 150, how much is 1 square foot? 1 foot equals, what's 150
Can you
divided
just
by?
infer that every 50 square feet is about $5,000?
You get to do that too, because of round numbers. 50 square feet equals $5,000, right? You can do a price per foot, that's probably the easiest way for what we're doing. So if we are 100 square feet difference, right? This one is 300 more, so is that inferior or superior?
Superior.
Superior by 100 square feet. So I need to back off 5,450 plus another 5,450 or 10,000. Right, so the 100 square feet would be 10,000. Everybody see that? Okay? So then, if this is subtract, and this is subtract, and this is add, we can take 290 plus 10 minus 10. What do you get? 290. How about them apples? All right, let's look at our next one. 300, 3-bedroom school, deck. Deck, we're cool. 2,300, 2,200. So we just got to make a square footage adjustment. We got how many square feet?
That is.
100 square feet. Same thing here. So you can just minus 5,000 per 50 or minus 10 for 100 feet.
290.
And that's going to give you 290. Booyah, we're seeing a trend here. Seeing a trend. All right, so we have 305. We have 3-bedroom, 3-bedroom. We have a deck, or no deck here, but we have a deck here. So if our comp has no deck, is it inferior or superior?
Inferior.
Inferior. We need to make it like our subject, so we need to give it a deck. How much does a deck cost?
15.
How much?
Oh, 10, sorry.
$10,000. All right, now 40. We're off on square feet. We have 2,450. We have 2,000. Is our comp bigger or smaller?
Big.
Bigger, making it superior. So we need to subtract. How much do we subtract?
250 square feet, so
So it's 450 minus 220, 250 square feet, right?
25,000.
So if each 50 is 5, how many is that?
25.
450 minus 2 is 250, right? So we gotta count for 250 square feet. So if 150 is 15, and then
25.
Plus another 100
Is it 25?
would be 10K, so 25 in total.
Yeah.
25 in total, there we go. And we're adding it, right? Or subtracting it?
Subtracting.
Why is that?
Because it's superior.
Oh, right, we're already too big. We need to go smaller to be like our subject. So we need to subtract. And if I did my math right, that look right?
Should be 290.
290. What are the odds? Now, does that answer your question as to how do you know what something is worth?
Yes.
Yeah,
That's how you do. You compare comps to figure out how to make these adjustments. Yes, sir.
Alright, I'm not gonna lie, I might be way oversimplifying this, but that confused the hell out of me.
I
If
know.
comp 2 is 300,000 and it's 2,300 square feet, why would you just divide square footage, find out the price per square foot and say you're,
And add it to the subject. Because we never adjust the subject. That's why I said that's the easy shortcut. That's what you want to do. Because that is the path of least resistance. That's what you want to do. Now, what you do, and now if you hadn't had these other comps, you would have done just the adjustment to this one, and that would have been the easiest route. But when they give you 3 comps, you use 3 comps.
okay.
Yeah. And the goal in a good CMA or a good appraisal is that you will have multiple comps. Now, as you said though, that's probably the one that had the least amount of adjustments, right? Because it's almost the exact same, minus 100 square
Yeah.
feet. So that might have been the one I give the most weight to in my emphasis on pricing, that really maybe that 300 is more appropriate.
they're all the same price then.
That make sense?
Yep.
So now we know how to make adjustments when they give us the value. Now we know how to compare our comps to each other to determine what that value is so that we can make our own adjustments, which is a little bit more like real life, right? Questions on that? Yes, sir.
I was just gonna say, it's getting ready to be break. Would it be possible for you to make up a new one, plug in some numbers over there, and let us work on one on our own
Yeah, I can go. I think there's a good example in the book.
in the big book?
Yeah, in the old book. I'll get
have
it.
the big book.
I brought mine.
Okay.
So I can
Yeah, if you plug some numbers in, and let us do one.
play with that, and then when you get back from break, we'll do that and
Please, I
look at
think.
cost approach.
Yeah, I'd like.
What happens when you take a break, need the extra help? Like you wanna do that